Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Geriatric Support Network Expert Series. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Miss Madison Page-Jordan, founder and CEO of Compass of Care, an LLC that provides compassionate home care to older adults in the Tarrant, Dallas, and Denton County areas. Thank you so much for joining me today, Miss Page-Jordan. I'm looking forward to learning from your experience supporting older adults and their families. So to begin, could you tell me a little about yourself and what inspired you to create Compass of Care?
Yes, thank you for having me, Matthew, and thank you for listening, audience that's joined us. As far as what led me to starting Compass of Care, I have older parents myself. I'm an only child, and so with that comes that I'm their point person. If they need medical appointments scheduled, I'm the one that does that for them, which is a huge privilege. I very much enjoy being able to take care of them, but it also is a huge responsibility being an only child and not having anyone else that I can rope in to help take care of them. And so it made me realize that for a lot of people, taking care of a parent can almost be a full time job. And sometimes you need a little bit of help from the community to be able to pull other people in for that.
Yeah, that definitely shows kind of the importance of kind of having help when caring for aging parents. Yeah. So on your website, you mentioned that some of the hardest part of aging aren't necessarily medical appointments themselves, but everything that happens in between. What are some of those everyday challenges that older adults and their families often struggle with?
I love this question. I think that it's something that a lot of people don't think about until they're in the situation, but it's the small things that really can add up quickly, like sorting the mail, managing groceries, trying to keep up with home maintenance, and managing a to do list. For adult children who are working, they're raising kids, or maybe they don't live near their parents, I think that this can quickly pile up to where it becomes a little bit of a point of almost anxiety when trying to take care of a parent, as well as for the parent. Like I said, these things start out small, but they can pile up very quickly.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of little things that over time they can become a huge part of taking care of aging parents. Um, Many older adults want to remain in their homes for as long as possible. What are some of the biggest factors that can help someone continue to live at home safely and independently?
This is a great question as well. I think it's really important to stay ahead of problems rather than taking care of them in a reactive stance. And there's a couple factors to this, like home safety, making sure that there's shower rails, making sure that rugs aren't loose. That way, you can catch the fall risks ahead of time, make adjustments as needed before it really becomes a problem. And there's plenty of other examples of this, like nutrition, making sure that meals, grocery delivery is set up. That way, we're not reacting to a couple months down the line. We realize, oh, okay, they have not had a great diet the last couple months. Now we're starting to see some health issues due to the poor diet. So these are small things, but if they're managed in advance and we get ahead of them, then that can be a huge help to being able to stay in the home for a lot longer.
Yeah. Um, Families may not always recognize when an older loved one needs additional help, but what are some signs that might indicate that it's time to bring in more support?
As far as recognizing when additional help is needed, it's very small signs and things that you would notice day to day slowly change. Like, for example, mail piling up on the counter. You go to your parents' house and their fridge is empty, or they only have a few condiments. The house maybe isn't as clean as it normally would be. Or another great example, which this can be part of memory care, is your parent is repeating the same story to you several times in a day. At first, it may not seem like it's that big of a deal, but over a couple weeks' time, these can start mounting up to where it becomes a little bit of a bigger clue that they need some help.
Yeah. Healthcare can also become especially more challenging when someone has multiple doctors, medications, and appointments. But what can families do to keep these things organized?
There's different ways that this can be done, and I think it really kind of depends on what your personal style is. But my biggest suggestion is, if possible, try to give yourself one or two points of contact, whether that's you're using, let's say, your sister as the point person for scheduling all the medical services, or you hire someone to come in and do the coordinating. But I think making sure that there's one point person that's doing all the scheduling helps to make sure that nothing slips through the cracks, as well as you can use a tracker, whether that's paper, it's on your laptop. Track down what's already been scheduled, how often it needs to be scheduled, and set reminders, whether that's on your calendar, in your notes app.
Yeah, I think definitely having things already planned out ahead of time is it's really helpful in these type of situations. Now, one service that stood out to me was your emphasis on advocacy when an older adult goes to the emergency room. Why can having an advocate be so important during these kind of visits?
So you think about the emergency room, and typically it's very fast paced, it's noisy, it can be stressful for anyone, especially for an older adult that's been kind of pulled out of their home unexpectedly. And I think typically, if there is a family member there, they usually are in shock. If there's not a family member away, then this older person is in the hospital by themselves. And unfortunately, a lot of times we see that with how fast paced the emergency room can be, things can get missed sometimes, whether it's the person forgetting to bring something up or didn't quite feel comfortable speaking up for themselves because it's such a stressful situation. And so having a third party there can be really important in the sense that they already have their checklist of what questions need to be asked. They already have medical history. And so they can speak up when needed and step in to make sure that the proper care is being delivered.
Yeah, it's emergency room appointments are definitely really stressful, and having a third party there can really help take down some of the burden. Now, family members often take on a tremendous amount of responsibility when helping an aging parent or loved one. And what are some ways families can support their loved one without becoming overwhelmed themselves?
This is a great question because I think this is something that is seen a lot, but isn't necessarily talked about and can be overlooked sometimes. My biggest advice always is don't wait for it to bottle up to where it becomes a total meltdown for you to start asking for backup. I know it may feel that way sometimes, but you don't have to do it all yourself. We have community. There are so many different services in the community, whether that's nonprofits, for profit companies that are absolutely willing to help in these situations, as well as take advantage of your neighbors, your friends, your family. I know it can feel intimidating to ask for help, but sometimes that's the best thing that you can do for your loved one that you're taking care of, because you can't run on an empty cup yourself. And sometimes the small things like grocery runs, scheduling are easy things that you can hand off so that you can be a little bit more present with your loved one when they need you then.
Yeah. Now, lastly, if you could give one piece of advice to an older adult or a family who's beginning to navigate the challenges of aging at home, what would you want them to know?
I think, again, this comes back to being a little bit proactive. It's important not to wait for the bad fall or for the emergency room trip to start kind of building your arsenal. Plan ahead of time, whether that's you set up your tracker, you set up a community of a team that can support you. I think a lot of people will wait and kind of hope that it gets better, that the stress goes away. But getting support early, it doesn't take away your loved one's independence. It actually is protecting it because they're able to stay in their home longer without having as many potential setbacks.
Yeah, always seeking help in these stressful situations can always make things better. Well, thank you once again, Miss Page-Jordan, for taking the time to join this interview. Do you have anything else that you would like to tell our audience?
I would love to talk for a second about I think that there are so many new services that are coming to the geriatric community. In the past, even just 10 years ago, I'd say there weren't that many resources for navigating care. But as our population is aging, we have so much new technology and new services that exist in the community. So I really urge everyone to do your research. Try to figure out what different services are offered in your area that you can take advantage of to make it easier for yourself and your loved one.
Yeah, there's many resources available with the more and more people growing into older adulthood. Well, that wraps up this expert series episode. Please check out the Compass of Care website, which will be listed in the description of this video for more information about this wonderful organization. Please also check out the Geriatric Support Network website for more expert series that are soon to come. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you for having me.